Imagine walking to the mailbox without pain climbing stairs, without fear or dancing again at your granddaughter's wedding. For many of us in our wiser years, those small joys can begin to feel distant, like echoes from a younger time. But here's the truth. If your legs feel heavy, weak or cramp at night, you're not alone and you're not powerless. As we grow older, our bodies ask for different kinds of care. Not louder care, not more urgent care, just wiser care. And part of that wisdom comes from understanding what truly supports the legs that carry us through life. Today I want to gently walk with you through 7 essential nutrients, quiet helpers that can ease cramps, rebuild strength, and help us feel steady on our feet again. These aren't just vitamins, they are tools for freedom, dignity, and confidence. Stick with us because number 6 is a game changer. Most doctors forget to mention. Yas o Yas1. Vitamin D, the foundation of leg power. It's not just the sunshine vitamin, it's your muscle guardian. There's something comforting about a morning sunbeam falling across your living room floor. And for many of us, the idea that the sun gives us vitamin D is familiar. But what many of our uncles and aunties don't always realize is how deeply this vitamin is tied to the way our legs feel, how they move, balance, and even react in a moment of surprise. Vitamin D isn't just about bones. It's also a guardian of muscle function, especially what we call fast-twitch fibers. These are the parts of your muscle that help you catch yourself if you trip or quickly adjust your footing when you step off a curb. Without enough vitamin D, those fibers weaken quietly. We don't notice it at first. A little wobble here, a bit more effort getting out of bed. But over time, it becomes our new normal. Now here's something we don't often hear. As we age, our skin becomes less efficient at converting sunlight into usable vitamin D. Even if we spend time outside, we may not be getting enough. And for many of us who stay indoors more because of mobility issues or simple caution, the risk of deficiency becomes very real. Let me share the story of Bob. He's 72 now. A widower lives in North Carolina and tends a small backyard garden with his collard greens and tomatoes. About a year ago, he started noticing that getting up from the couch took more effort. His knees ached, sure, but more than that, he felt off balance. His daughter, a nurse, encouraged him to ask his doctor for a vitamin D test. Sure enough, his levels were low. With a simple daily supplement and a promise to spend 15 minutes each morning outside, tending his basil or sipping coffee on the porch, Bob felt steadier within 2 months. He told me, "Doc, I didn't realize how much of myself I'd given up until I started to feel it coming back." That's the quiet beauty of vitamin D. It doesn't shout, but when it's missing, we start to feel unsure on our feet, in our muscles, and even in our energy. It also helps reduce inflammation, which makes achy joints feel less stiff, and muscles feel more cooperative. And while sunlight is a beautiful source, it's not always enough, especially in winter. Fatty fish like salmon or sardines, fortified dairy, egg yolks, and mushrooms can help too. But for many of us, a small supplement may be 800 to 1,000 IU. A day is the gentle nudge our body has been waiting for. Because when your legs feel strong beneath you, the world feels a little more reachable again. But strong muscles need more than light. They need strength from within. 2. Calcium, your bone armor. A stumble shouldn't shatter your independence. There's a certain quiet dignity in being able to stand up from your favorite chair without wincing, or to reach the top shelf without worrying that your knees might give. Our bones, those hard-working, mostly silent companions, carry us day after day. And as time passes, they begin to ask for a little extra support. Calcium is often mentioned in health conversations, but rarely explained in a way that feels personal. It's more than just a mineral in milk. It's what gives bones their strength and, more importantly, their resilience. For those of us over 55, our bodies begin to lose bone mass at a quicker pace, especially if we're not feeding that foundation regularly. Without enough calcium, bones become brittle quietly. And that's why a minor slip, the kind we might have laughed off in our 40s, can turn into a long recovery in our 70s. But here's the hope: we can slow that process. We can even strengthen what's there. Let me tell you about Linda. She's 68 lives just outside Chicago and volunteers at her local library. Last winter she slipped on her porch steps. The fall didn't look serious, but she fractured her hip. It shook her, not just her body, but her confidence. She told me later, I suddenly felt fragile, and that scared me more than the fall itself. During her recovery, her doctor reviewed her diet and lifestyle. Turns out, Linda hadn't been eating many calcium-rich foods. She had some mild lactose intolerance and avoided dairy altogether. But she didn't know about other options: bok, choy, tofu, almonds, sardines with bones, and fortified oat milk, which she grew to enjoy. With support, she added a gentle walking routine and began strength training twice a week with resistance bands. After 6 months, her bone scan showed improvement. More than that, she walked taller again. Not because she was healed overnight, but because she felt informed, supported, and in control. Calcium is also essential for muscle contraction. It works hand in hand with your muscles, helping them move in a smooth, coordinated way. Without it, the legs can feel crampy or unsteady, like an old radio with poor reception. And here's something many of us forget. Calcium works best when we move. When we walk or carry groceries or even dance in the kitchen, we send a signal to the bones: stay strong, stay active, stay useful. That's why movement and calcium together are like two best friends on this journey. Supplements may help if your diet falls short, but always under your doctor's guidance. Too much calcium from pills can cause kidney stones or other problems, so balance is key. Even strong bones, though, mean little if the message from your brain can't reach your legs. 3. Vitamin B12, the nerve connector. If your legs feel numb or disconnected, it may not be your muscles, it's your nerves. Have you ever stood up and felt like your legs were there, but not quite yours? Maybe they tingled, or maybe they felt so heavy, it was like walking through thick mud. For many people at our age, this sensation becomes part of daily life. But often it's a sign that your nerves aren't communicating well with your muscles. And one of the quiet heroes in nerve health is vitamin B12. This vitamin plays a special role in maintaining the protective coating around nerves, like the insulation on electrical wires. When B12 is low, signals don't travel efficiently. Your brain sends a message: lift your foot, catch your balance, but the leg responds late, or not at all. Jane, age 74 from Ohio, noticed this one day when she tried to step over her cat in the hallway and couldn't quite lift her foot in time. She didn't fall, but she felt alarmed. Her doctor ran a simple blood test and discovered her B12 levels were very low. Turns out Jane had been on acid reflux medication for years, and that had quietly reduced her body's ability to absorb B12 from food. With guidance, she started a weekly B12 injection and added more fish and fortified cereals to her diet. Within 3 months, the leg fog began to lift. Many people don't realize how common B12 deficiency is among older adults. As we age, our stomachs produce less acid, and this makes it harder to extract B12 from even a good diet. And since the signs tingling weakness, fatigue are easy to mistake for aging, it often goes unnoticed. The beautiful thing is, it's reversible. With proper care, your nerves can heal. And when they do, your legs begin to feel more responsive. Your gait steadies. That slight shuffle you didn't even know you had begins to fade. If you suspect something's off, ask your doctor for a B12 test. It's a small step that could change how your legs carry you through each day. But what if your muscles themselves feel sore, tired, and stiff every day? 4. Magnesium, the muscle calmer. Cramping at night. It might be your most overlooked mineral. Many of our friends and family know that feeling all too well. You're resting peacefully, maybe even asleep, and suddenly your leg seizes up. The pain is sharp, unexpected, and real. Some people call it a Charlie horse, others just call it awful. But what it often is deep down is a quiet signal that your body needs more magnesium. Magnesium is one of those minerals that doesn't make much noise until it's gone. It works in the background, helping our muscles contract and relax smoothly. Think of it as the conductor of an orchestra. When it's present, the muscles play in harmony. No spasms, no unexpected jolts. But when it's low, everything gets out of tune. It's also the mineral that helps balance calcium. You may remember that calcium helps muscles contract. Magnesium, on the other hand, helps them relax. The two work together. But if you have too much calcium, and not enough magnesium, your muscles can tighten and refuse to let go. That's why sometimes people who are diligent about taking calcium supplements still struggle with cramps or tightness. They're missing magnesium, the partner mineral. Let me tell you about George. He's 69, a former mechanic from Georgia. He told me he used to wake up 3 or 4 times a week with a stabbing pain in his calf. His legs were cramping, twitching, even shaking at times. He thought it was just old age catching up, but he was willing to try anything to sleep through the night. When we reviewed his habits, we noticed he wasn't eating many magnesium-rich foods anymore. He used to enjoy nuts, dark leafy greens, and beans, but over the years, those slipped away. He also took a medication for high blood pressure that's known to lower magnesium levels. We started small. A few handfuls of almonds during the week, more spinach in his salads, some pumpkin seeds on his oatmeal, and a low-dose magnesium supplement in the evenings. Within 2 weeks, the cramping eased. Within a month, he was sleeping soundly. That's the power of this quiet mineral. And the truth is, many of us are running low. Stress medication, poor digestion, and diet all play a part. Older adults in particular are more likely to be deficient even if we eat relatively well. What I often recommend is starting with food. Leafy greens like spinach, and kale legumes like black beans, whole grains like brown rice, avocados, even a bit of dark chocolate if your doctor says it's okay. If supplements are needed, magnesium citrate or glycinate tend to be easier on the stomach and absorb better than some others. But again, it's best to speak with your care provider before starting anything new. When magnesium levels come back into balance, people often say the same thing. My legs feel quieter, less tension, less twitching, more peace. And in a body that's been working hard for decades, that kind of quiet is a gift. Magnesium calms, but another nutrient keeps your muscles firing smoothly. 5. Potassium, the electrical messenger. The difference between a smooth walk and a shaky step. We've all had those moments. You stand up too fast and your legs tremble. Or maybe you've been walking for a bit and suddenly there's this odd shakiness or even a cramp that sneaks up out of nowhere. Many folks assume it's just fatigue, but often it's a sign your muscles are missing something very important, potassium. Potassium is like an electrical messenger. It helps carry signals from your brain through your nerves to your muscles. Without enough of it, those signals get fuzzy. You might feel shaky, weak, or you might cramp up, even if you haven't been very active. This is especially important for seniors because our kidneys, which help regulate potassium, don't always work as efficiently with age. Some medications for blood pressure or heart conditions also cause potassium to drop. So even if you're eating, okay, your levels might still dip below where they should be. Let me tell you about Nancy. She's 73, lives in Minnesota, and has always loved walking along the lakeside trail near her home. But last summer, she noticed something strange about halfway through her walk. Her legs would start trembling. Sometimes she even had to sit down on a bench, not because she was out of breath, but because her legs just didn't feel right. After a bit of back and forth with her doctor, they tested her blood and found her potassium was low. The likely cause? A diuretic she had started taking a few months earlier for high blood pressure. It was doing its job, but also flushing out important minerals. With some adjustments, more potassium-rich foods, a few changes in her medication. Nancy returned to the trail by autumn, her legs. No more trembling, she said. I feel grounded again. Now, when people think of potassium, they often think of bananas. And yes, bananas are helpful, but they're just the beginning. Sweet potatoes actually have more potassium than a banana. So do white beans, spinach, avocados, and even plain baked potatoes with the skin on. And if you're someone who has to limit certain fruits due to blood sugar, there are still savory options that give you what you need without spiking your sugar levels. The key is variety and consistency. One banana here and there won't fix a long-term imbalance, but steady inclusion of potassium-rich foods can keep those electrical signals flowing cleanly through your legs. And it's not just about muscle function. Potassium helps maintain strong bones too by reducing the acids that weaken them over time. So your muscles and bones both benefit when your potassium levels are steady. If your doctor ever says your potassium is low, take it seriously, but know it's very manageable. With food care and gentle changes, you can restore balance. You've seen how minerals matter, but what's the vitamin that guides them to the right place? 6. Vitamin K, the calcium traffic. COP. Calcium is only helpful if it ends up in your bones, not your arteries. Now, this one surprises people. When we talk about strong legs, bones, and balance, we usually think about calcium and vitamin D. But here's something you may not have heard. Neither of those nutrients work properly without vitamin K. Vitamin K is like a traffic cop for calcium. It tells calcium where to go. Bones, yes. Arteries, no. Without enough vitamin K, calcium can drift into the wrong places, like your blood vessels or joints, where it can lead to stiffness, poor circulation, or even discomfort when you move. But with the right amount of vitamin K, your body can guide calcium safely into the bones, helping them grow denser, stronger, and more resistant to fractures. I remember Henry, age 80, from Oregon. He's a retired train engineer and one of the most careful, meticulous men I've met. But despite taking calcium faithfully, he was starting to feel stiff, especially in the knees. His walking slowed down, and gardening, which used to bring him peace, started bringing him pain. A new doctor looked at the big picture and suggested he increase his intake of vitamin K, particularly a type called K2. Henry started eating more leafy greens like kale and collards, and even tried a Japanese dish called natto, which is rich in K2. Now, natto has a strong flavor, not for everyone, but Henry stuck with it, and in just a few months he said something simple but powerful. My joints feel like they remember how to move again. There are 2 types of vitamin K. K1 comes mostly from green vegetables, spinach, Swiss chard, collard, greens. K2 is found in fermented foods like Age's cheese natto, and even some organ meats like liver. Both are important, but K2 tends to stay in the body longer and has a special role in bone health. For people on blood thinners like warfarin, it's important to talk with your doctor before changing your intake of vitamin K. But for many others, including more greens and fermented foods, can be a safe and natural way to support your legs and bones. Vitamin K doesn't get the spotlight, but it works quietly in the background, guiding nutrients to where they belong. Our final nutrient is your quiet powerhouse for stamina and flexibility. 7. Vitamin B6, the muscle maintainer. You may be missing energy, not strength. Sometimes the legs aren't cramping, and they're not exactly weak either, but they just feel tired. You walk a short distance, and suddenly they seem to lose their spark. They drag, they ache afterward, and you start wondering if you're just getting too old to move like you used to. But here's something we don't always consider. It might not be a matter of strength. It might be a matter of energy. And one quiet helper behind that energy is vitamin B6. Vitamin B6 helps your body process protein, the building block of muscle. It also plays a key role in producing hemoglobin, the protein in red blood cells that carries oxygen throughout the body. Without enough B6, your muscles don't get the oxygen they need to stay energized, especially during movement. That means even if your muscles are intact, they may not be functioning at their best. They're like a good car with an empty tank. Let me tell you about Susan. She's 66, lives in Pennsylvania, and takes care of her husband, who has early-stage Parkinson's. Her days are full. She's constantly on the move. But she noticed something unsettling. Her legs felt unusually heavy after simple errands, not painful, just drained, and walking up the stairs. That became a challenge she didn't expect. Susan's doctor ran some routine tests and discovered her B6 levels were borderline low. Not dangerously deficient, but low enough to make a difference. They worked together on a plan that started with food, because Susan didn't want to take another supplement if she didn't have to. She began starting her day with a smoothie, banana, peanut butter oats, a splash of almond milk, and a spoonful of ground flaxseed. Then she added more B6-rich foods like chickpeas, chicken breast potatoes, and even a little tuna when she could find a good recipe. 3 weeks later, she told me I didn't notice it at first. But now I'm halfway up the stairs. Before I remember, I used to dread this vitamin B6 also supports nerve health. Without it, you might feel a bit uncoordinated or experience tingling or slight numbness in your feet. These symptoms can be mistaken for B12 issues or even neuropathy, but sometimes the cause is simply a lack of this often overlooked nutrient. What makes B6 special is how broadly it supports leg health, from strength to energy to coordination. It doesn't just feed the muscle, it helps keep the whole system working in harmony. Most people can get enough through food, poultry potatoes, bananas, fortified cereals, and even a hearty bowl of lentil soup can help replenish what the body needs. But if digestion is compromised, or if your levels are especially low, your doctor may recommend a supplement. The goal isn't to fix everything overnight. It's to notice the small changes, the energy returning, the legs recovering faster, the freedom to move with less effort. That's the beauty of B6. It doesn't promise miracles, but it restores the quiet confidence that your legs are there for you. And that brings us back to where we began. Strong legs aren't just about muscle. They're about nourishment, coordination, and care. As we've seen today, strength doesn't come from willpower alone. It comes from the way we nourish our bodies, the gentle choices we make each day, from the vitamins that support muscle fiber to the minerals that guide movement, to the nutrients that help us feel connected from brain to toe. Whether it's walking without pain, climbing stairs without fear, or dancing again, these nutrients make that possible, and you don't need to change everything overnight. Just begin. One new food, one small test, one habit that brings you closer to steady, confident steps. Your legs carry your independence. Let's give them what they need to carry us through the next chapter of life, stronger, steadier, and more hopeful. Which vitamin surprised you the most? Tell us in the comments below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and click the bell so you don't miss the next chapter in our health journey together. Stay strong, stay steady, and we'll see you in the next video.